Picture this: Washington, D.C. on a sweltering summer day. The air shimmers with heat, and the city's iconic monuments stand tall beneath a blazing sun as crowds gather in anticipation. The city is decked out for the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, a milestone meant to honor 2.5 centuries of service. Red, white, and blue banners flutter from every lamppost, and patriotic flags line the streets, creating a festive, almost cinematic atmosphere. Tanks line the streets, artillery rolls by, and soldiers march in perfect formation. The rumble of heavy machinery mixes with the rhythmic stomp of boots, echoing the Army's long tradition of discipline and strength. Fighter jets roar overhead, turning the sky into a spectacle. Their synchronized maneuvers draw gasps from the crowd, a reminder of the military's power and precision. But there's a twist: the celebration falls on Donald Trump's 79th birthday. The timing is no coincidence, and it adds a layer of intrigue to the day's events. Suddenly, the event isn't just about the Army, it's also a birthday bash for the former president. Trump's presence is unmistakable, his supporters cheering as he waves from the parade route. The headlines shift: it's Trump's military parade now. News outlets scramble to cover the spectacle, and the narrative quickly changes from a national tribute to a personal celebration. The day is packed with patriotic music, a swearing-in of 250 new Army recruits, and Trump himself delivering a speech about bravery and sacrifice. He speaks of American greatness, blending military valor with his own political message. The grand finale: fireworks over the city. The night sky explodes in color, illuminating the National Mall and reflecting off the faces of a crowd both awed and divided. But mixing a national military anniversary with a personal birthday party rubs many the wrong way. Some in the crowd shift uncomfortably, sensing the day's original purpose slipping away. Critics call it a self-serving political stunt, arguing the military is being used as a backdrop for Trump's celebration. Commentators debate the ethics of blending personal milestones with national pride. The event feels less like a tribute to the troops and more like a rally for Trump. Supporters chant his name, waving signs and flags, while others look on in dismay. This perception colors the entire day, turning what was meant to be a unifying celebration into a deeply divisive spectacle. The crowd is split, with emotions running high on both sides. The parade, intended to showcase American strength, instead draws a line in the sand. The symbolism of tanks and flags now carries a different weight, one heavy with political overtones. Supporters see patriotism, opponents see political theater. The same images inspire pride in some and frustration in others, deepening the sense of division. The stage is set for a day where unity is promised, but division is delivered. Even the event's organizers seem caught between celebration and controversy. The Army's milestone is overshadowed by controversy. Veterans and soldiers who should be at the center now find themselves on the sidelines of a political storm. What should have been a day for the troops becomes a lightning rod for political outrage. Arguments break out along the parade route, and the mood grows tense. The event's dual purpose ensures that, from the start, it's anything but simple. Organizers scramble to manage the optics, while military officials try to keep the focus on service and sacrifice. The parade was supposed to unite, but it only deepened the divide. Police step in to keep the peace as tempers flare between opposing groups, and as the day unfolds, that divide becomes impossible to ignore. The Army's 250th anniversary, meant to bring Americans together, instead becomes a mirror reflecting the nation's sharpest divisions. Let's talk about the price tag: $45 million for this parade. That number sparks outrage and disbelief across the country, with many people questioning how such a staggering sum could be justified for a single event. Critics argue the money could have helped veterans or funded schools. They point out that classrooms are underfunded and veteran services are stretched thin, making the parade's costs seem even more out of touch with everyday needs. To cover costs, the event leans on big corporate sponsors: Lockheed Martin, Coinbase, Palantir, whose logos pop up alongside tanks and troops. Their involvement raises eyebrows as the parade becomes a showcase not just for military might, but for corporate branding. The parade starts to feel like a mashup of patriotism and a Super Bowl ad break, with the line between national pride and commercial promotion growing increasingly blurry. Trump defends the expense, saying other countries do it and America should too. He insists that the spectacle is a way to honor the military and inspire unity. He calls it an investment in national pride, arguing that the display will boost morale and remind Americans of their shared values. But for many, the justification falls flat. They see the event as tone-deaf, especially when so many pressing issues remain unaddressed. The corporate branding and massive cost make the event look more like a commercial than a solemn tribute. The intended message of respect for service is overshadowed by the spectacle. The debate isn't just about money, it's about what the parade represents. Is it a celebration of service or a distraction from deeper problems? Is it a morale boost or a vanity project? The question divides communities and fills social media feeds with heated arguments. The $45 million figure becomes a symbol of misplaced priorities, fueling frustration and sparking protests in cities nationwide. Critics see it as evidence that the event is more about spectacle than substance, more about flashy visuals than meaningful recognition. The mix of public funds and private interests leaves a sour taste. Many worry that the partnership blurs ethical lines and sets a troubling precedent. Instead of unity, the parade highlights the growing influence of money in American politics, exposing deep divisions over what truly matters. The cost, the sponsors, the spectacle, it all blurs the line between patriotism and profit, leaving many to wonder where the nation's priorities really lie. For many, that's a line that should never be crossed. The blending of national pride with corporate interests feels like a betrayal. The controversy over the bill becomes as big a story as the parade itself, ensuring that the debate over patriotism, profit, and priorities won't fade anytime soon. The administration claims a crowd of 250,000 showed up for the parade, touting the event as a massive success and a show of national unity. But photos and videos from the day tell a very different story. Empty bleachers stretch for blocks, quiet streets echo with the absence of cheers, and the overall atmosphere feels subdued and lackluster. The grand military display, meant to impress, instead rolls past rows of vacant seats, with only a handful of spectators scattered along the route. Major streets and even an airport are shut down for security, but the crowds just aren't there to fill the space, leaving the city eerily quiet. Online, the low turnout quickly becomes a punchline, with memes and side-by-side comparisons of the official numbers and the reality of empty spaces going viral. Meanwhile, protests in cities like Los Angeles draw thousands, their energy, passion, and sheer numbers a stark contrast to the sparse DC crowd. The main event looks empty and underwhelming. The counter-events, on the other hand, are overflowing with people and energy. More people seem motivated to protest than to celebrate, their voices and presence impossible to ignore. The empty seats undermine the narrative of a unifying popular event, raising questions about the true level of support. If this parade was truly meant for all Americans, why did so few show up to witness it in person? The contrast with packed protests elsewhere is impossible to ignore, highlighting a nation divided in its response. The lack of enthusiasm in DC speaks volumes, with even those present appearing subdued and unengaged. The opposition isn't fringe, it's widespread, vocal, and highly visible, making its presence felt across the country. The administration's numbers can't hide the reality on the ground, where empty seats outnumber supporters. The day's visuals tell a story of division, not unity, with two Americas on display. The parade's intended message of strength and unity is lost amid the empty seats and the booming protests echoing nearby. The real crowd, the real energy, is in the streets, not on the parade route, but in the voices of those demanding to be heard. The parade sparks a wave of opposition across the country. Protests erupt in nearly 2,000 locations, a coordinated nationwide movement. Demonstrators decry the parade as wasteful, authoritarian, and out of step with American values. Signs and chants target the cost, the politics, and the timing with Trump's birthday. For some, it's about the $45 million. For others, it's about principle. They argue the military shouldn't be used for political theater. Concerns about damaged streets and city disruptions add to the frustration. While DC remains mostly calm, other cities see massive, passionate protests. The scale of dissent is impossible to ignore, a broad coalition, not just a few activists. The parade, meant to unite, exposes deep cracks in American society. For many, it's not a celebration of the military, but of one man's ego. The protests become the main story, overshadowing the parade itself. The day reveals a fundamental disagreement about what patriotism really means. The protests aren't just loud, they're clever. The No King's Day theme takes off, mocking Trump's perceived authoritarianism. Protesters unveil a giant inflatable statue, Trump, phone in hand, sitting on a golden toilet. The image is pure satire, instantly viral and impossible to ignore. It mocks the parade's seriousness with humor and ridicule. The balloon becomes the symbol of the day's dissent, shared worldwide. It's a visual punchline that undercuts the parade's intended grandeur. The No Kings movement uses creativity, not just chance, to make its point. The golden toilet balloon is the unofficial mascot of the opposition. It highlights the deep cultural and political divide, tanks on one side, satire on the other. In the battle for attention, the balloon wins. Humor proves to be a powerful weapon against power. The day's most memorable image isn't military might, it's mockery. Protesters show that ridicule can be more effective than outrage. The parade is upstaged by a single unforgettable joke. The Trump on a toilet balloon isn't just a prop, it's the day's defining image. It turns the powerful into the absurd, cutting through the noise with humor. The golden toilet jabs at Trump's love of luxury, the phone mocks his social media obsession. The balloon floats over DC, a visual counterpoint to the jets and tanks. News and social media are flooded with images of the balloon against the Capitol and White House. It's a masterclass in visual protest, hijacking the narrative. The balloon's impact goes global, uniting opposition and sparking laughter. It's more interesting than the parade itself, a new, unforgettable sight. The administration has a massive budget and the military, the protesters have a balloon. On this day, the balloon wins the battle for public attention. It's a reminder that ridicule can be a powerful tool. The parade's message is drowned out by satire. The balloon becomes a symbol of resistance. Sometimes the most effective protest is the one that makes people laugh. The day belongs to the balloon, not the tanks. Not all protests are peaceful. In cities like Los Angeles and Philadelphia, demonstrations turn tense and violent. Police in riot gear use tear gas and crowd control tactics to disperse angry crowds. The clash has become national news, showing a raw, desperate side of the opposition. Police force adds another layer of controversy to an already divisive day. In Minnesota, a planned protest is canceled after unrelated shootings, casting a shadow over the day. The country feels on edge, grappling with multiple crises. The day, meant for unity, instead reveals chaos and division. From satire in DC to clashes elsewhere, the nation's fractures are on full display. The parade's clean image is shattered by the messy reality on the ground. The event becomes a symbol of a country pulling itself apart. Amid the chaos, Trump takes the stage in DC. He praises the Army's legacy and presides over a swearing-in of new recruits. Trump defends the parade's cost, comparing it to military displays in other countries. He frames the event as a necessary show of national strength. But critics see hypocrisy, praise for the military alongside cuts to veterans' services. For supporters, it's a patriotic moment. For detractors, it's political theater. The speech doesn't bridge the divide, it deepens it. The justifications fall flat for many, fueling suspicion that the parade is about Trump, not the troops. The controversy grows, not fades. The speech becomes just another flashpoint in a day full of them. Instead of calming the storm, Trump's words add fuel to the fire. The divide is sharper than ever. In the end, the parade is seen as a flop. It promised unity, but delivered controversy and division. Low turnout, rain, and massive protests overshadow the spectacle. The event becomes a symbol of America's deep political rift. Supporters enjoy the show, but critics drown them out. The parade is mocked as wasteful and egotistical. The made-for-TV production feels hollow and disconnected. Instead of healing, the parade pours salt on national wounds. The real power is in the streets, where dissent is loud and clear. The day meant for patriotism becomes a lesson in division. The Army's anniversary is lost in the noise. The parade's legacy is not unity, but a nation more divided than ever.